Hey there, Joshua Hanlon here, and today I'm in Evansville and joined by Lando from Brickmania. You might recognize him from his many appearances on the Brickmania YouTube channel, some of the wonderful talent they have over there in their video production. Always great, always good to see you there. So he's going to talk us through some of these minifigs that Brickmania has produced here and kind of the design process with these.
I guess the first step that I try to start with is a sketch, honestly. The computer's really cool for making really straight lines, but I think often a lot of the character of a design on almost anything, honestly, it can be lost if you don't base it on some sort of physical process. And I really try to start off with a sketch, at least a basic sketch. One, it kind of helps me plan out where I'm going to place all the different gear and pieces and belts and zippers and stuff on a minifigure. Two, it also kind of it lets me just play around with different designs and just kind of flesh out ideas. And it's a lot faster than trying to just create it all in the computer. Mm-hmm. So that's my very first step. From there, I mean, I'll scan those drawings into the computer and I'll use a program, Adobe Illustrator. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of my end of the process. I'll send that off to the print shop. I got some really talented guys working at Brickmania that print these really cool figures that I've had a lot of fun designing. So
you do that all in-house at Brickmania, then? Is this whole process done at Brickmania?
Yeah, this is all designed and printed at Brickmania. Obviously, we have to buy the base Lego pieces just through Bricklink is our primary source of that. Lego doesn't have any official deal with that, so we're actually buying all these parts, just the stock price for that. Some of them, like, it's hard actually finding quantities of blank minifigures, so it's actually cheaper to buy some printed minifigures, and we'll buff those off, we have a guy in the back just sanding them down, and it's kind of so yeah, it's funny the same automotive sandpaper that you use for like shining up car lights, like the headlights on cars. We can use that to make just a fresh surface for printing on it. And then from there, we're using a UV cured resin based ink with that, so it's a full color. It's really cool. It's actually more durable than pad printing. Which I love pad printing. I think pad printing has a really rich look to it, really crisp colors, and that's what Lego uses, right? Mm-hmm. But there's a lot more flexibility with this method, and it's more durable actually. So
mm-hmm. That's amazing. So you're able to get it even higher quality than Lego with that stuff.
Oh, or just different quality, right? I mean, the durability thing is really awesome, but I mean, if you're trying to scratch Lego, you're trying to ruin it, right? Yeah. I think pad printing holds up really well, just as well,
Mm-hmm. So if you can then maybe take us through each of these minifigs, talk about some of the different design elements on them, and kind of how these particular minifigs came together for you.
For sure. Let's maybe start off with the deck crewman. So the guy in blue. That's one of my most recent designs here. So this is a modern U.S. Navy deck crew off of an aircraft carrier. We're actually planning on building. Dan's going to build this mega carrier. It's a Wasp class carrier. So it's going to be one of our largest builds that we're going to ever attempt here thus far. So kind of starting that off, we wanted to create the crewman, and there's just these really iconic deck crewmen. They're all in different colors. It's really just vibrant. It's interesting seeing that much color just in the military space. So that's kind of cool. And he's wearing camouflage pants. That's actually that's woodland camouflage, a brand new iteration of that. So woodland's been around since like the it dates back to like the 70s, maybe the 80s in this version is when it really got popular. But the Navy guys still use that on the decks of the aircraft carriers. So I thought that was kind of cool. I guess what else? He's got a texture printed helmet. So check that out. That's another thing that you can't really, not that I know of, you can't do that with pad printing. With digital UV cured ink, you can actually build up layers of that to create textures like that, which we're trying to. There are these crash pads on this helmet that protect them from impact and stuff. So we're using that ink in that manner, and that's a custom part by Minifig Cat. That's helmet and that headset on there. So we're using a few custom parts, aftermarket parts.
And that's always a big part of a lot of the minifig Brickmania minifigs, right? That you're kind of combining. You've got Brick Arms weapons and things, and so you do some of the work, the printing yourself, but then all these accessories and things kind of come from other places.
Right. I mean, obviously, we try and use Lego as much as possible. We love Lego, so that's the starting point always, whenever possible. Sometimes you just can't get quantities of something that you'd like. And sometimes it just really doesn't exist. So that's especially like military helmets. That's where we try to use Brick Arms. We love Brick Arms. That's our favorite. But there are other brands that make some pretty crazy awesome stuff too. So yeah, moving on. I have a World War II U.S. Army MP. I just picked him out because I thought he was a really sharp looking kind of late war uniform. Just showing off, just printing on all the different surfaces. And I just thought he looked cool, so I pulled him out of our display case.
The white helmet there with the printing on front, is very nice.
Yeah, it really pops. I thought that was a slick-looking uniform, and it turned into one of my favorite minifigures here. And just white gloves, white helmet, and those white leg wraps. Just, I thought it looked cool. So, yeah. Moving on, here's one of my. This figure turned out really popular. This is a World War II U.S. Sergeant, and he's got texture printing on that Brick Arms right there. So I don't know how familiar everyone is with Brick Arms, but it's just custom aftermarket weaponry designed to go with Lego. And they have a series called overmolded stuff, and it's like a 2-part injection process, and it's actually pretty complicated, and it ends up creating a really it's a beautiful weapon, but it's expensive, right? So with this process, we're actually printing on the weapon. So you're taking a stock Brick Arms, which you can get for like $1 or so. And by printing on it, you can get a very similar look and even additional detail. So, and then also some more things to note about the printing process on this figure. If you want to check out the face, he's got a texture printed cigar. I don't know how good the lighting is on that, but that cigar is sticking out a little bit out of his head, and that's been incredibly popular on that figure. And it's fun to try out these different texture processes that. You just can't really find that in the stock Lego world.
Mm-hmm. Is that harder to print on things like you see the side of the arm there or the face versus just the kind of the normal torso printing?
Right. Yeah. I mean, being a curved surface, it does add some complexity to it. So we have to make custom jigs to hold it in place on the printers. And a funny note: a lot of the jigs that we actually use are just actually made out of Lego. So because Lego is for its cost a really cheap you can use it for kind of these commercial or industrial purposes to making jigs and just all sorts of stuff like that, because it's got really great tolerances, so you can hold stuff in the same place every single time. So and that's the World War II U.S. Sergeant. Moving on, we have a modern U.S. Army Rifleman, and that's in that it's that brand new camouflage pattern that the U.S. military has been using. It's based heavily on multicam. I believe they call it the operational camouflage pattern, and that was a real challenge. I've been working for years to try and get this camouflage pattern right, and I've probably had maybe 3 or 4 different versions of it prior to this. That I wasn't quite happy with it, and I think I've finally landed on something that I'll call okay for now. But no,
there's always room for improvement. You're always trying to kind of make the designs better and see what you can do to further the printing.
Oh, absolutely. It's always fun to just you might be happy with something for now, but something else will inspire you, or you'll think of a different way of doing it, and you go from there. And so nothing's ever really the perfect version. I don't think. I mean, maybe at that time it's your favorite one, or it's the coolest one you've made thus far. But then looking back, it's like, oh man, that was kind of primitive compared to what I can do now. So I'm happy with this one for the moment, but we'll see. But yeah, so that's just a modern U.S. Army Rifleman, decked out in some Brick Arms gear, and just ammo pouches printed on there. And so I try and find as many reference pictures as possible before creating a design. And National Archives just has a wealth of different pictures and photographs from the military, so that's been super helpful, especially for the World War II stuff. But even into the modern stuff, you can just kind of pick apart all the different gear that they're wearing. I'll try and track down the exact boots and everything, and just as much as I can find the names and everything of it.
That kind of research aspect, is that how big of a part of your job is that? Is that something you pretty much all do yourself, or is there other people who help with that and then kind of feed you that info for designs?
I guess it's a bit of a team effort. For the most part, obviously Wikipedia is a great starting spot. I'll be honest, it's a good starting spot. But from there, Dan has an extensive library of all of his tanks, and he does have quite a few books based on just talking about uniforms and weaponry. So that's been really awesome, just kind of having that resource. And even Dan's pretty knowledgeable on all this stuff. As far as uniforms go, those books have been incredibly helpful. Different online sources and watching various films and footage, and just I love beautiful old pictures from back during World War II and earlier in World War I stuff. There's some gorgeous pictures that I'll use for reference on different minifigures. So sure. And then again from there, this one what we're looking at right now is the female sniper. So that's Lady Death is what they referred to her as, and she was a famous sniper back during World War II. She had some of the highest kills of the war. That's who she's based off of, and that's a really, really interesting camo. It's called the amoeba camouflage pattern. I don't know how they would have called it in Russian, but so that was kind of one of an earlier camouflage patterns developed at the time, and it's just a bunch of splatters on on these uniforms. I think they were screen printed at the time. I don't think they were actually splattered paint on there, but. It's interesting that I just love the evolution of camouflage patterns. So, and then moving on, the last figure I pulled out here would be the modern PMC operator, and that's just like a private military contractor is what that would be, employed by various militaries across the world, just kind of fighting unofficial battles and whatnot. Often, there's the stereotypes of these are the private military owned by oil companies and whatnot. So kind of a, I have a logo on the arm. You might be familiar with that. So it's we didn't call it Octan. That's the Lego brand. It's Moctan, M-O-C, right? So that's our own private military contractors, the Moctan Corporation.
It fits well with the stereotype there.
Yeah, a little bit of a spoof there. I like how Octan has been rebranding themselves as a environmentally friendly company, but I think we know better. We know their origins.
This is the beginning of like the Brickmania video game here, where you're like as a private military contractor.
Oh, we definitely. Yeah, I've been thinking about all these ideas in my head about this sub brand of. Yeah, anyway, yeah, we'll see. Private military contractor sponsored by Big Oil, right? Big ABS, I guess.
There you go.
Right. Yeah, cool. So I guess minifigure design has been a ton of fun here at Brickmania. I've really been enjoying this whole process of kind of bringing these creations to life, and kind of interpreting what I see in real life off of my soldiers into a minifig form. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's what do you find are the differences between kind of designing for a minifig versus maybe other design projects you've done over the years on variety of areas? What kind of makes minifig design special at the scale and everything?
I guess the first thing that comes to mind with minifigures versus something like a kit, let's say, minifigures are they're figures, they're human forms, right? And I think people instantly have a connection with that. And you can kind of relate to a minifigure, whereas as cool as tanks are, you don't really relate to a tank as well, right? At least most of us don't. I don't know. So I think just minifigures, they're just fun. They're little characters that have just so much personality.
Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah, and these are fantastic designs. So great work, Lando. I think you've definitely gotten better at these over the years, I'm sure, and I think it definitely shows. So thank you for bringing these out to the show, and I'm glad you could give us some insight into this process. Look forward to seeing more figs from you in the future.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to talk to you guys, and I really enjoy Beyond the Brick. So it's thank you.